The first time she spoke, her voice was barely more than breath against the sound of running water, but the words cut deeper than any blade he'd carried through the war. "Just kill me fast." The soldier froze, one knee in the creek, mud soaking into his trousers as autumn leaves drifted past, like the years he'd lost. She lay slumped against a stone, skin pale beneath dirt and dried blood, eyes half open yet already resigned to an ending she believed inevitable. He had seen surrender before, on battlefields littered with smoke and bodies, but this was different. This was a woman who had learned that mercy never came, and that hope was a lie told to keep the weak standing a few moments longer. He told her he wouldn't do it, that death wasn't his trade anymore, but she laughed weakly, a sound broken by pain, and whispered that everyone eventually did. When he tried to lift her, she winced, and he noticed the way she guarded her legs, the way fear tightened her jaw, not from injury alone, but from memory. He carefully raised the torn fabric of her skirt, not with desire, not with curiosity, but with the practiced caution of someone searching for wounds, and that was when he saw it. A mark burned into her skin, not crude, not accidental, but deliberate, a brand, ownership carved into flesh. The soldier's breath caught as the past slammed into him, the screams, the villages, the orders followed because refusal meant death. This wasn't the mark of a criminal. This was the mark of someone turned into property. She saw his reaction and turned her face away, ashamed of something that had never been her sin, whispering that it meant she wasn't worth saving, that anyone who saw it understood what she was. The soldier swallowed hard, hands trembling not with fear but rage, because he finally understood why she wanted him to end it quickly. She wasn't running from pain. She was running from being seen. He wrapped his coat around her legs, recovering the brand like a promise, and told her the truth she'd never been allowed to hear. They marked you because they were afraid you'd survive. The forest felt suddenly too quiet, as if even the world was listening. And for the first time since the war ended, the soldier realized this wasn't a rescue. It was a reckoning. By dawn, the fire burned low, and she still hadn't slept, watching him with the wary eyes of someone who'd learned kindness always came with a price. He cleaned her wounds without asking questions, spoke only when necessary, and never looked at the place she thought defined her. When she finally asked why he hadn't left her behind, he answered simply, "Because I didn't survive." All that just to walk past it. As the light crept through the trees, she told him her story in fragments, how soldiers came, how names were taken before freedom was, how the brand was meant to erase the idea of a future. Each word weighed heavy, but he listened, really listened, the way no one had when it mattered most. He confessed then, not for forgiveness, but for truth, that he'd once worn a uniform that made people flinch the same way she did now, that he carried ghosts who never let him sleep, and that saving her wouldn't erase what he'd done, but leaving her would make it worse. When they finally reached the road, she hesitated, afraid the world would recognize the mark even when hidden, afraid survival would demand a strength she didn't have. The soldier knelt in front of her, not as a warrior, not as a savior, but as a man choosing to stand still, and said the words that changed everything. "That brand tells me exactly who you are. Someone they couldn't break." She cried then, not quietly, not politely, but with the raw release of someone reclaiming breath after years underwater. As they walked forward together, the horse following behind like a silent witness, the soldier understood that redemption wasn't found in dying for a cause, but in living long enough to protect what the world tried to destroy. And if this story moved you, if you believe that survival itself can be an act of defiance, then stay with us. Subscribe to the channel, because stories like this aren't just meant to be heard once. They're meant to remind us why we keep going.